Hello and welcome, my name is Haas, and this is another Hearthstone Legend deck guide. I haven't done one since Blackrock Mountain has released yet, so it's about time I remedy that, and what better way to do that than with dragons. This here is a Dragon Mage deck, quite a unique deck I believe, and it's incredibly effective from my experience. It dominates control decks with the use of an incredibly high amount of sustain cards and big threats, such as Nefarian and Ysera. I've played a lot of matches with this Dragon deck this season, got it solidly in the top 500, and I'm confident that I could reach top 100 with this deck given more time as well. So to give you a general impression of how it performs, here's the statistics I've written down from the last 200 or so matches. As you can see, positive win rates across the board. Taking a specific look, you're slightly favored against hunters, probably surprisingly so. This depends a lot on the variation that the hunter is running though. In case of a faster, more aggressive hunter, I would definitely say they are favored, but anything more hybrid or mid-range is fair game. That matchup never actually feels favored, but due to your high amount of sustain you can do quite a good recovery if they aren't fast enough and then start taking them down in just a few turns. Mage is a bit above 60%, these have for the vast majority been tempo mages. It depends a lot on their start, but I would definitely say this deck is favored in that matchup. Freeze Mage, haven't fought a lot of them, but it can go either way. I'd say this deck is yet again slightly favored in that instant. Now, Paladin only has 70% here. That's due to Aggro Paladin, which is practically an instant loss. As you can see, I only won once against Aggro Paladin. They are the worst matchup in the entire game that you can have with this deck. They are incredibly fast, their minions can't be easily removed with the Mage hero power, and they punish your hand size with their Divine Favor. Luckily, there's not that many of them in the current meta. On the flip side though, the mid-range control paladins, I've basically clumped them together here, even though there's definitely a few variations, is almost an instant win. It's one of your easiest matchups in the entire game. They aren't fast enough to stop you from outsustaining them, and you have bigger threats. Then Priest, 100% win rate, might actually be the easiest deck to go up against, but I've hardly seen them around, so I'd say this is insufficient data to actually get a good conclusion here, but I definitely don't see them winning from this Dragon Mage. Then Rogue, these have all been Oil Rogue. You should be able to outlive their combo and clear their minions, and therefore win the match. If they draw a lot quickly enough, they definitely have a solid chance at winning though. I put this deck at favored, but it can still be dangerous. Warlock is probably the toughest class in general. Zoo Warlock, slightly under 60% win rate, as you can see. Well-timed use of Flame Strike is crucial in this matchup. Then Handlock is about 50-50, they are the toughest control matchup due to their card draw hero ability. They generally simply outdraw you. And there's also Malygos Warlock, which I feel is even tougher than Handlock. Luckily, again, not that many of them. Finally, Warrior, be prepared for incredibly long matches, but whether it's control or patron, you should definitely have a good chance to win here. So, those are the general statistics of the deck. Let's go into a few matches, then I'll go over the entire deck list in detail at the end. Great, a warrior. I hope you like some fatigue wars, because that's exactly what's gonna happen, regardless of whether this is patron or control. That's just how it is. We don't want Ysera. The Mad Scientist, though, is very good. There's not a single matchup, I want to say, where Mad Scientist isn't something you want to keep. No, you want it every single time. Twilight Drake is pretty good as well. We want to start pressuring him, basically, regardless of whether he's control or patron, so that he doesn't get free card draw. Uncontested card draw. So we'll keep this. Alexstrasza, not so good either. But we have a good 2-drop, so we can't complain that much. Polymorph is fantastic if this is control. One of the ways we do actually lose against control warrior is if they have an uncontested Ysera. And this is a Mad Scientist. And Polymorph, of course, fantastic way to deal with Ysera. So Mad Scientist, fantastic card. Puts a secret into play when it gets played. When it dies, rather. And it allows us to get rid of this nasty, nasty armor. So we don't... I'm going to hit him in the face, but we don't want to ping him with Fire Blast, because if he's wounded, he can activate Battle Rage for a card draw if he's patron. And we don't want that, and we don't know whether he's patron or control yet. We won't be seeing that for probably a pretty long time. They have very similar opening hands. So one of the worst case scenarios here is if he plays Acolyte of Pain. He's going to coin, so he's not doing that. This is probably an X. Yep, that's actually fantastic for us. If he has to coin into an X to remove a Scientist, that's pretty good. And activators right now don't really matter. Plus the Twilight Drake survives because we have enough. This is going to be 4-6. And Ice Block got put into play. The secrets from Mad Scientist don't really matter that much early on, but it's just a really good card to put into play, plus it makes sure we don't draw into this secret. So here's the Acolyte of Pain. He's going to get at least 2 draws from this. He's actually attacking our Twilight Drakes, who probably has Whirlwind or Execute. Hopefully Execute. Nope, that's a Whirlwind. Full value on the Acolyte. That's really quite painful for us. We're going to play the Technician here. There's no reason to play the Corruptor. And then we'll just ping it. Flame Strike, by the way, is fantastic, of course, if this is Patron. We need that. And we still don't know. But the Despite on turn 4, on turn 3 rather, was really good for us. That's 1 Despite gone. A Sludge Belcher. That's quite nasty. Probably means he's, well, makes it more likely that he's control, but he could still be Patron. There's quite a few Patron variations. The cleanest way, of course, is Polymorph, but that would be insane. Regardless of whether it's Patron or control, Polymorph has much better target, so we're just going to do the Blackwing Corruptor and trade. We have no other way of dealing with it right now. And that still puts a 3-2 and a 5-4 on the board, which he has to deal with, otherwise we are doing a lot of damage to him. And we have a pretty good hand, a lot of counters. We don't, as long as we draw into more minions to actually play, we have a pretty good hand. Decibite, so bye-bye, Corruptor. We hardly knew you. And the fact that he's on 19 health is completely irrelevant. This is going to take a long time before we actually win. I don't think I've won a single... Okay, so the Azure Drake is really good. Exactly what we needed. Mad Scientist, we can put that into play as well. We could ping anything, but pinging anything is pointless, so this is going to give either Duplicate or Ice Barrier. Either way, we're probably pretty good. Just make sure we don't draw into them. Ice Barrier, sometimes you don't want to play while you have Ice Block on, if you're against a Patron Warrior, because if they can do a lot of damage, then the Ice Barrier is irrelevant, whereas... Okay, he's going to clear our entire board, it's quite nice for him. Whereas if you, if they trigger your Ice Block and then you put Ice Barrier up afterwards, you can win quite a few matches that way. Duplicate and Shield Maiden. So the Shield Maiden definitely means he's control, which also means our turn is probably going to be pretty underwhelming. Because we have Duplicate, I don't want to play Sludge Belcher. We probably want to do Flame Strike next turn to remove his board. There's not much more in his deck, in a Control Warrior deck, that we got a Flame Strike. And because of Duplicate, again, if we Sludge Belcher now, we're going to get 2 more Sludge Belchers, pretty irrelevant against a Control Warrior, and he clears it immediately. So I'm just going to ping this, and that'll be all. I mean, I could get duplicated Antique Healbots here, but I think I want to go for the chance of, like, duplicated Alexstrasza's or BGH, not Sludge Belcher at least. Right? It seems silly not to do anything here, but we can get a much better payoff with the Duplicate than simple Sludge Belchers. So he's checking for secrets. He knows now it's not Ice Barrier. He knows it's not Mirror Image from the Armorsmith last turn. He plays Dr. Boom, which is normally very scary, but Dr. Boom is basically enabling us to get some lovely 2 extra BGHs. I don't think we have any other sensible play here than go for the triple BGH. That's going to give us a lot of beasts in our sights. Yes, that's what we'll do. We have like Alexstrasza, maybe Ragnaros, maybe Grommash, maybe Baron Geddon, that we can all take down with Big Game Hunter. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. And we're not going to play anything else, because we don't want anything else to die first. Because of course, if we play Technician now, he's just going to run his 5-5 into the Technician. We are very sad, because we don't get 2 more BGH in that case. I actually, oh, Alexstrasza. Yep. That's quite wonderful. Dragon in our sights. I actually shouldn't have killed the second Boombot earlier, because it makes it more likely that our BGH was going to die. But this works. We also got the Polymorph in case we wouldn't have gotten the... Actually, I might Polymorph the 5-5. We have 2 Polymorphs now. We have 1 for Ysera. We have 2 more Big Game Hunters for any other threats he plays. We can remove the 5-5 quite easily. We have a very good hand, but we gotta make sure we don't actually die, or rather, that he doesn't pop the Ice Block. So we do want to remove the 5-5. So I'm going to Polymorph the 5-5. First BGH the 8-8. Polymorph the 5-5. Ping it, and just leave it at that. So now he pretty much has to do the combo with Grommash to ping our ice block. There's nothing else that he can really do. Other than, I suppose, play the War Axe and Ragnaros, but that's fine too. Plays the War Axe. It's not a given either that he plays Ragnaros. Thaurissan, alright. A lot of Control Warriors don't run Ragnaros anymore, so... he might play Nefarian. Either way, it's quite irrelevant. We are going to remove the Thaurissan here. With probably... we have to remove it, because he didn't get that many discounts here, but we do have to remove it. So I'll probably do Flame Strike and just ping it, and that's going to be our turn. Again, it's unlikely that he actually pops the Ice Block. If he does, we're not in a bad position. So Flame Strike into a ping, and that's our amazing turn. At least it looked fancy. Just an armor up. Gonna hit us in the face. Is this gonna be Ragnaros? Nope, second Fiery War Axe. So he probably doesn't run Ragnaros. Or he doesn't have it. Azure Drake. Pretty obvious answer here. And Sludge Belcher? Or Healbot. I think we'll just do Sludge Belcher here because of the Fiery War Axe. This also protects our Azure Drake. In case he has a... does he still have a Taskmaster? I think so. Shield Slam for free. Oh, for 7 damage, but for free. And Baron Geddon? That's not going to be an elemental in our sights, because we have enough to remove it next turn. With the Blackwing Corruptor and the 1-2 Slime. Slime is very scary. You of course can't remove it with the axe, because the Baron Geddon effect happens at the end, so we're just going to remove this scary elemental. Not so impressive when matched up against a 1-2 Slime. Shield block. Looking for cards. And Grosh, that's a scary Orc Daddy in our sights. Big Game Hunter does certainly get to kill a lot of stuff. He does trigger the Ice Block, but we have the Healbot, we have Alexstrasza, we're fine, we can do BGH here. Ping, we're going to ping Grommash so that he actually gets angry. Gets annoyed by our Shadow Bolt. And then we're going to kill it with the Big Game Hunter and heal ourselves up with the Antique Healbot. He shouldn't be able to kill us. We're on 9. There's really nothing he can do to kill us on 9, other than... well, he just used all his weapons, so there's actually no way he can instantly kill us. So we're gonna make this guy angry. Inner sights, heal up, hit him in the face. And we're doing pretty good. Again, Control Warrior is a really easy matchup. It always goes into Fatigue. It's a very slow matchup, but with Alexstrasza later on, if he does more damage, this is a Brawl, it's fine. I mean, he can't Brawl Nefarian or whatever now. But with Healbots, 2 of them, with Alexstrasza, Shield Maiden... I don't think he was even... I mean, you could say he was unlucky there. Oh well, he Shield Slammed it anyway. But I think almost all our minions there could have traded with the Shield Main, with our ping ability. So this is... again, he cannot do 9 damage, so I think I just Flame Strike here. No, you know what? I think I'll do Sludge Belcher here, because that at least gives us a 1-2, which... I mean, he's probably going to play a minion next turn, and we want to play Nefarian one of these days. So we're probably going to do Sludge Belcher here, so we got a 1-2, which protects Nefarian. We could also... yeah, we could do Sludge Belcher and throw down the Zombie Chow, which is... I mean, both of them are pretty good options here. But I think I want that 1-2 to protect Nefarian against whatever other minion he's going to play next. He still has like a... what? He has Taskmasters, I think? Unless I forgot. He has like another Sludge Belcher. I mean, Taskmaster, of course, it wouldn't protect against the Taskmaster effect, but... this should be able to trade with anything he plays. And still keep our Nefarian protected. So he gets a free trade here, of course. Well, almost free. Sarah, that's a sheep, not a dragon. Don't be fooled. And our Oni Sarah, which is not a sheep. And we're just gonna ping the 5-1, trade for the 1-1. That's it. Also, I should have traded with the Zombie Chow instead, so that he doesn't get to ping our 1-1 with Taskmaster, but small mistakes, could matter. Another Acolyte and Taskmaster. I told you this is going to go into fatigue. Sludge Belcher. So this is a pretty good Flame Strike. It does protect our Nefarian, as I said, the 1-2. With the way it's been going now, of course, he could have done Taskmaster onto it, but whatever. We're going to do Flame Strike here. That seems like a pretty obvious one. Then we're going to ping the Sludge, and then just trade. Well, not trade. We're going to kill it without losing anything. And not losing anything, or rather losing something when you can afford it, is really important at this point, because we are definitely going into fatigue, or at least he is. I might win right before that, or he might well, I doubt he wins at this point. Sylvanas. We can't quite trade with it yet, which is a problem, but he most likely definitely doesn't run... Oh, that's pretty good. Definitely doesn't run Ragnaros if he also has Sylvanas. So we're going to do Ice Barrier and Teak here. Then we can trade for Sylvanas without him stealing anything. Just ping this. Doesn't matter. But I'd rather have options. Armor Smith. The armor is irrelevant at this point. He has used both Shield Slams, I want to say. I think he used both Shield Slams, but not any of the Execute yet. I think. So the question becomes, what do we want to play? And this is a very important question at this point. I think we want to play Nefarian because it gives us 2 more cards, which might be crucial in the upcoming turns. We're definitely trading this. Trade the 2-2 first into the 5-3, of course, because we don't want Sylvanas to steal anything at all. And the armor, again, I think it's irrelevant at this point. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have any shield slumps left. Thaurissan on his own wouldn't really... I mean, the discounts are very good, but it might not lure out what we want. I think we just want the cards from Nefarian, basically. They might be crucial in the upcoming turns. And Ysera would be a really dumb play right now. So, Nefarian is what it's going to be. 2 more turns left for him to draw cards. Yeah, this is going to be Nefarian. See what we get. Anything good, please? That doesn't look very good. Rampage and Cleave. Those are some of the worst cards we could get at this point, I think, against a warrior. Triggers our Ice Barrier. Pretty irrelevant. He has no burst to actually kill us. Big Game Hunter. Okay. Okay. That actually makes Cleave useful now. And he's still sitting on Executes. So I think we do Emperor Thaurissan here to lure out an Execute. Also, of course, playing Nefarian first is going to give us discounts on what we get from the Nefarian cards. Either way, we just needed the cards. Even though these aren't very great. So he doesn't have any cards anymore. Next turn is probably... He's going to execute whatever we play after this. I assume he's going to execute this. Is he? Please? There we go. Now I think he has 1 more execute left. So we have to pick our dragon. And I think Alexstrasza is more important because of the life gain if this moves into... I mean, the 8-8 is going to make it easier, actually. The 8-8 is more important. We're going to freeze the 5, and I should have done... I'm left with 1 mana. You dummy. I should have done the other Frostbolt, which didn't have a discount. That, of course, it might matter. Probably doesn't, but it might matter. Should have used this Frostbolt instead. Because it wasn't discounted. And there's the second Execute. So that should be the win, basically. He can do 2 damage to us. We're going to ping the Nightmare. Oh, he's just trying to do as much damage as he can. Alright, so he removed the 2-2 for us. It doesn't matter at this point. We're going to play Alexstrasza on him. Kill the 5-1. And now wait for him to concede. Or make this a really... There we go. Alright. That was a Control Warrior. As you can see, long matches. Let's move into another game.
Medivh versus Gul'dan.
A Warlock, so it's about 60%, I want to say, chance that this is going to be a Zoo and not a Handlock or a Malygos Warlock. So this is an interesting opening hand. Normally, like, we're going second, so I think I'm just gonna keep all of this. Normally I wouldn't keep the, would I keep two? I'd probably keep 2 Twilight Drakes, but not the Blackwing Corruptor. But we have a 2-3-4, a 2-3-4-5 rather, with the coin here. So I think I'm actually gonna keep all of this, even though I'd really like a Zombie Chow if this is Zoo. But this is just a very good mana curve. So why give that up? Void Walker. And Thaurissan, so we even got a 6-drop now. As long as he doesn't play any big threats, this is going to be just a very easy plop down all our minions in our hand kind of move. Knife Juggler, that is a problem because the Mad Scientist doesn't... That's a Frostbolt. So the Mad Scientist wouldn't trade here, because it's probably going to get hit by 1 knife, so we're going to Frostbolt the Knife Juggler instead. Because the Mad Scientist, again, it's just a 2-2, so it wouldn't even trade with the Void Walker. It would take 1 damage from the Void Walker, then 1 from a knife, probably, so... Knife Juggler's big threat, want to remove him. Frostbolt is fantastic. And Gang Boss. It's a pretty good board for us to play Twilight Drake on. He doesn't have anything to remove it with. This is going to be a 4-6 if we coin. That's fantastic. Forces him to do, like, Power Overwhelming. Or, Implosion if he has it, which he could do because it's 4 mana. Implosion it is. Roll low, please. That's a 3. Well, that's lower than I expected. I always expect them to go for 4. That's just how the RNG nature of it seems to go. So I'm going to plop down the Twilight Drake here. We have Ysera for the Corruptor next turn. Abusive Sergeant. So is he going to trade with everything? That would be great for us if he does. We just want to keep his board clear, basically, until we draw into, like, Flame Strikes and such. Because that's a lot easier. But right now we haven't taken any damage. I'm not going to do the Sludge. I'm going to do the Corruptor here on the 2-1. He's very low on cards. So this is going pretty good. It's just a bit worrisome that we don't have Flame Strike yet, because he is, at one point or another, he's going to play a lot of minions. If he gets another Implosion, he has an entire board again. Power Overwhelming. This is going to be bad. This is going to be a very good turn for him. 3 mana left. This is going to be a... Yep. It's going to be Terror. Fantastic. So who comes out of this? Please no Morganas or like... Alright, 2-4. Well, we have the Polymorph. We have an Ice Block. It's not as dramatic, even if he had gotten like Morganas or something like that. We haven't taken any damage, so I'm going to Polymorph this. And then probably... Either I play the Scientist, I'm just gonna ping it, I think, because the Scientist gets removed by the 2-4 immediately, and next turn we can do the Scientist as well. Yeah, so I'm going to Polymorph the 10-6 here, because that's the most damage that he'll get, and then I'll just kill the sheep. The Mad Scientist isn't that important to get out early. I mean, it's important, of course, that we don't draw into any of our secrets, like we did here with Ice Block, but we have 2 more left in the deck, you know. We don't run like Mirror Image or anything, so it's not important to get them onto the field that early. 1 card left. Okay, so this is going to be just Sludge Belcher. I could do Emperor Thaurissan here, there would be a lot of discounts, but he has exactly 5 on the field, so I'm going to do Sludge Belcher and Mad Scientist. And then next turn, we could do like Emperor and Ping. Dr. Boom. This is what I mean with a big board. Dr. Boom is absolutely fantastic for him. I mean, all things considered, we're doing pretty well, even though he did draw into a lot of good threats when he needed them. But this is a pretty smooth match against Zoo. Duplicate. I think I'm just going to play Thaurissan here, just to get the discounts going. And then ping the 2-1 because his board is full, so it's not going to spawn another one. And then just kill off some 1-1s. The demons, of course, are a higher priority in case he draws into Morganas. So he can keep the Spectral Spider. Lucky Spider. 9 mana. 2 cards. And that's Morganis. Alright, so we haven't drawn into our BGH yet. We haven't drawn into our second polymorph. We still got a Frostbolt, we still got a Flame Strike, that's an Ice Barrier, so that's going to give us some more time. And you rolled pretty good. Well, I guess that's about as expected on the Boombots. So he has 2 major threats on the board right now, but we should be fine. Dr. Boom is, I think, going to be our turn here. Just Dr. Boom and, like... I mean, playing one of the secrets isn't important. We can do duplicate here, but then we'll just probably get a duplicated bomb. So it's going to be Dr. Boom and the Technician. That puts quite a bit of pressure on the board. I mean, he has 2 major threats. If we got rid of these 2 major threats, though, if we might be a bit lucky with the bombs, but if we got rid of these 2 major threats, then, well, we're in a very good position. Because he has, what, 2 more Doom Guards left? That's it, in terms of threats. Maybe he runs Sea Giant, but most tend not to. Flame Imp. Of course he gets all the health for free now. And the second Implosion rolls 2. And both hit our face. That's a bit unlucky for him, I think. There's Flame Strike. We've been waiting for you, buddy. It's excellent here. This is a very easy Flame Strike. Normally it's actually pretty tough when you want to Flame Strike against Zoo. You don't just want to throw it out. Like, I did a match before I started recording here against the Zoo, which I also won, but if I had done, like, Flame Strike earlier, what are we gonna do? Just Ice Block here, I think. Just duplicate is... We don't want to duplicate the bomb. But Flame Strike is very crucial in this matchup. You have to make sure that you use that at the right time. Oftentimes you want to save it, basically. Like, it seems like such a good deal in a lot of situations. I only did it here because, well, it was a fantastic deal, and he had no more cards to really back it up. Ysera here is great. He has nothing to contest with it. So at this point, his chances of winning are very slim. We have Ice Block up, so even if he draws somehow into both Doom Guards, if he trades the Void Caller into Ysera, gets both Doom Guards, he can only do 10 damage to us, but it doesn't matter. Yep, just an egg. Defender. Alright, so he does have a way to enable the egg. Due to the Defender. Although we do have Dream. So I think we could do Dream on the 1-3 to make sure it doesn't get enabled. But first, let's see what comes out of this. This might be a Doomguard. And it popped the egg. Alright, that's fine too, because now we can trade with the 4-4. Seems he has no more demons in his hand. And we'll just play the Corruptor here, because if he taps, we have lethal. Yeah. So this is probably the turn where we'll win. He taps, we have lethal on the board. Although, of course, he can trade for the 2-2, but... Yep, there we go. Alright, let's go into a final third game.
Medivh versus Rexa.
And a Hunter, 2 of the least easy matchups in a row here, with Zoo and Hunter. If this is face Hunter, we are in a very bad spot. We're gonna keep the Technician here, because it's very good early on to start trading with things. Mad Scientist is pretty good. We need a Dragon, though, for the Technician. So, Dragon, please. Nope, that's a Flame Strike. Flame Strike can be very good in this matchup, but certainly not at turn 2. No big deal. I'll just plop down the Scientist here, which should be able to trade for the, well, for 1/3 of the Haunted Creeper. Well, not with the Glaive Sukosa. This probably means he is the completely aggressive face Hunter type, which is the toughest Hunter that you can encounter with this deck. Ice Block. I think we play the Technician even though we don't have an Enabler. But we need some stuff on the board to start trading with his stuff. Because these are going to do the most damage the quickest. So you have to sustain all the damage they do. So that secret... Another Flame Strike. So that secret probably isn't Freezing Trap. because he is the aggressive hunter, so that's probably explosive. Seems like it's snakes. Yep, snakes. That's fine, we have the Sludge Belcher, so... we can ping the 2-1 now. So the Sludge Belcher, like, trades with probably at least 3 of them if he has Hunter's Mark. That's really only 5 damage. Well, 7 damage every turn. Second secret. Like, I expect him to run Snake Trap and Explosive Traps, but nothing else. So... yeah, it just hits with everything. So we do Sludge here. And Sludge should be able to trade with quite a bit here. Just buying time. It's a bit troublesome that we haven't drawn into our actual sustain abilities yet. We have Ice Block up, of course, but Ice Block isn't worth the damn if we don't have any actual healing. We need, like, Alexstrasza is fantastic in this matchup. If he pops our Ice Block, which they always do as hunters, Alexstrasza the turn after, and you basically got a giant 8-8 in their face. We trade with everything, so that's quite nice. We have a 1-2 up now. So I think here, he only has 2 cards. We're in an okay spot as long as we draw into sustain. I think I want to Frostbolt the 2-2, so that the 2-1 has to go into our 1-2 taunt. Yeah, let's Frostbolt the Mad Scientist, and then hope we draw into our 2 Healbots or Alexstrasza. Or Ice Barrier. Duplicate here. I don't think it's worth it to get 2 1-2 taunts. It could save us a lot of damage. No, I'll just ping him. I didn't attack, of course, because if that is explosive, I don't want to lose the 1-2. Arcane Golem. She's gonna hit us for 4. 6 with the steady shot. There's our first heal. That's very important. I could ping this over 2 turns, but then he does pop the Ice Block. So I'm gonna do Flame Strike here. We have 2 of them. Steady shot. And nothing else. So he probably has, like, Kill Command. Yes, spells. That's fantastic. The second one, we're going to play one of them. I'm not going to play the Big Game Hunter, because it might be Explosive Trap. So I'll just do Duplicate. If we get duplicated Antique Healbot, that's fantastic as well. But he's definitely sitting on spells. There's the first one. Unleash the Hounds. This is going to be Kill Command. Yes, it is. He's just trying to rush us down. He's running out of tools to do so, basically. And we have the second Antique Healbot, so I'm not that impressed, frankly. We're gonna hit him in the face here, and then, I mean, it might also be snakes, so we're not going to kill the doggy with this, and there's no point to do that anyway. We're just gonna play the second one, and then ping the doggy. We had mana left to play the Big Game Hunter, and we knew it was an Explosive Trap at this point, so probably... Well, now I'm glad I didn't, because of the Unleashed Hounds. Though I don't think it really matters. But in this situation, I mean, we're not all that pressured, with him on 2 cards and us on 16 health, so I didn't play the Quick Shot, of course. So I didn't play the Big Game Hunter there, but probably should have. This is looking like a pretty easy Flame Strike. We know this is pretty much going to be snakes, so I'm going to attack the 1-2 Haunted Creeper. And then, I don't think I need to Frostbolt his face. Let's do this first. So there's the snakes. Flame Strike. Easy Flame Strike. Hit him in the face. We can play the Big Game Hunter now. If he had Dr. Boom, he would have played it. Yeah, let's do a Big Game Hunter. Animal Companion, and it's always Huffer. So we're on 3. That gives us at least 2 turns before he pops this Ice Block. There's Ice Barrier. Ice Barrier, of course, doesn't help against the Steady Shot. So I'm going to hit him in the face, of course. Do Ice Barrier. I'm going to ping the 2-1 now, so that the 2 damage from its Death Rattle won't kill us later on. And then... I'll Frostbolt. No, I'll just do Twilight Drake. I could Frostbolt his face, but it doesn't matter. We win next turn. Twilight Drake it is. It's better than playing Frostbolt. I actually should have done the Twilight Drake first, although I don't think it would matter, right? It would be a 4-4 if I'd done it before the Ice Barrier. So we could still trade with it, is my point. But either way, we had more than lethal now, so... all of that was irrelevant. But I should have definitely done Twilight Drake first. And there we go! That's a victory against a Hunter. 3 victories, in fact. Let's go take a look at the deck list. And here we are with the wonderful Dragon Mage deck. Let's take a look at every single card, and I'll go over why they're in this deck to begin with. So first of all, Zombie Chow. Fantastic against aggro decks, against quick decks, against Zoo. Against the Hunter, I thought it would have been amazing. I've won basically matches simply because I had Zombie Chow on the field against like a Tempo Mage if you remove their Sorcerer's Apprentice or whatever. This is fantastic. The reason we only have one, though, is because there's simply no room for a second Zombie Chow. Against control matchups, this is pretty much a worthless card. It still helps you, like, remove a minion, because it, of course, just does 2 damage against said minion. But it's a pretty damn bad card against control matchups, so I don't want to run 2 in this deck to begin with, but there's simply no room for a second one. Very good against aggro, though. Helps you win matches against aggro, for sure. Now, Frostbolt. Frostbolt is here, not for the burst. The 3 damage is pretty much never going to go against a hero. There's no burst in this deck. There's no fireballs, for instance. So, chances are you're not going to win with the Frostbolt, but it's very cheap early game removal. I think I used it against a Knife Juggler in the Zoo matchup a moment ago. So, there you can see it's just a very cheap way to remove aggro cards from your enemy. Now, Mad Scientist, one of the best cards in the game right now. Mad Scientist puts a secret from your deck into the battlefield. That's amazing. It draws a card and then gives you, in the case of Mage, a 3 mana discount because all your secrets are 3 mana and puts it into play. Incredibly strong card in the game. Plus, it's a 2/2 body, which is very effective against aggro decks. Duplicate, our first secret. Duplicate is here to basically get an edge in control matchups. I got 3 Big Game Hunters from this one. If you can get Big Game Hunter copied in a control matchup, if you can get Ysera copied, if you can get Twilight Drakes copied, that's amazing. It's going to give you card advantage. You have to play it at the right time, though, because you have to make sure you don't get like your Zombie Chow copied, of course, because that's pretty much worthless most of the time. But it's a very good card. 2 of them is far too slow in this deck, though, so I would only recommend 1. Then Ice Barrier, our first defensive secret. Ice Barrier, when you're attacked, gains you 8 armor. Only when you're attacked by a minion, though. If they use Steady Shot, if they use a spell, you're not going to gain that 8 armor. So you have to make sure that you are actually gaining the 8 armor when you play this. It's also very important that you don't just throw this out. Like, I've won matches against Patron Warrior because I kept this in my hand until after they popped Ice Block. Very important that you play this at the right time. But most of the time, it's going to get into play with the Mad Scientist, and frankly, most of the time that's great as well. It's basically an 8 health heal. Then Ice Block. Ice Block is pretty crucial in this deck. Almost every single match that you do, they'll pop your Ice Block one way or another. So Ice Block is going to give you another turn. Most of the time they're going to pop it with, like, against Patron it's a big combo, or against the Mage it's going to be a Fireball. They don't have those cards anymore. You are still alive. You have a lot of sustain in this deck with the Antique Heal bots or the Alexstrasza afterwards, so you're going to get back up to a good amount of health. Ice Block is crucial in this deck, which I really like because I love Ice Block as a concept, as a card, but in most mages it doesn't really work all that well. Of course, there's Freeze Mage, but I'm really glad that I got it to work in this deck. It's very good. Big Game Hunter, also an incredibly good card, destroys a minion with attack of 7 or greater. So bye-bye Dr. Boom, bye-bye Ragnaros, bye-bye Baron-Geddon, whatever. Very good removal card. You'll want this in any control matchup, basically. Then Blackwing Technician. Blackwing Technician, if you're holding a dragon, gains +1/+1, becomes a 3/5. A 3/5 for 3 mana is fantastic. It is really good against, well, basically anything. It's a mid-range card that you'll use to dominate the board state, essentially. It's great to keep this in your opening hand against every single deck, I want to say, because against control decks, you want to start putting up your own pressure, so they have to start using cards on the Blackwing Technician. Against more aggressive decks, you want this to actually start trading with their minions. Very good card, but you do want a dragon in your hand, even though if it's a 2-4, it's still pretty good, but you definitely want that 3-5. In Polymorph, we do actually run 2 of these because it's just so incredibly good against control matchups. To remove a Sylvanas, to remove, again, bigger cards like Ysera, for instance, against your control warrior. This is your only way to remove Ysera. Very good card, very important. Twilight Drakes, we run 2 of these. Now, these are a bit more questionable because Twilight Drakes don't synergize incredibly well with this deck. It's of course a dragon, and that's the main reason why it's in here. It's a solid mid-range dragon card, but most of the time, this is going to be as good as a Yeti. A Yeti is simply a 4-5. Your Twilight Drakes, well, I want to say they're mostly a 4-6, but a lot of times they're going to be a 4-5. They're not going to get like those 4-10 or 4-8 that you see in Handlock Warlocks, because you simply are using cards. Like you're using the Blackwing Technician, for instance, right before you play your Twilight Drake, so that's another health less on your Twilight Drake. But frankly, I don't think there's a better... Like, I'll have a look and show you what dragons there are at 4 mana. You have Dragonkin Sorcerer. That one's going to be worse than your Twilight Drake. And then you have Hungry Dragon, and I would consider this to be definitely worse than your Twilight Drake as well, because spawning a minion for your opponent is so bad against most matchups. If they're a mage, they can use it to combo with spells or simply their hero ability to remove your Hungry Dragon. If they're a warrior, they're going to get a minion to allow execute. If they're a zoo, they're going to buff it up. You don't want that. So Twilight Drake is pretty much your best bet. It's still a really solid card, as you've seen in the matches. It's mostly a 4-6. It's not as crazy as in Handlock, but still a really good card. So then Antique Healbot, crucial in this deck. Restores 8 health to your hero. So this is for a total of 16 health restored in your deck. Very important card. Not much else to say. It's healing that you need. It's one of the reasons why this is a sustain deck, so to say. Then Azure Drake, another dragon. If I could get 4 Azure Drakes, I definitely would, because draw a card draw in this deck rather, is very low. These are your only card draw opportunities. Of course, you could also count Mad Scientist as card draw. But Azure Drakes are your only straight up card draw in this deck. It's a really solid 4-4 body. Gives you a card. Amazing card. I use this in pretty much all my decks, so definitely use it in a Dragon Mage. Blackwing Corruptor, fantastic card. It's basically the neutral Fire Elemental. Fire Elemental is of course one of the strongest Shaman cards, and now we can have it as well in our Dragon decks. You need a dragon for it to apply the 3 damage, of course, but most of the time you will have a dragon. There's quite a number of dragons, as you can see in this deck, otherwise it wouldn't be a Dragon Mage. Blackwing Corruptor, really good. It's going to give you a lot of tempo. When you play this, you remove their minion. It's going to give you the board state. Very good. Sludge Belcher, also at 5 mana. Sludge Belchers are just incredibly good against any aggressive deck in the game, essentially. A really good taunt that is hard to remove for them. Emperor Thorsan, 6 mana, reduces all your cards by 1, so basically it's as if you used a coin on all your cards. Fantastic card. It's not as crazy in this deck as it is in like Patron Warrior, where they can get crazy combos. You don't have crazy combos in this deck, unfortunately. But it's still a really good card. It's still a 5-5 body that's also on the field that they do have to remove. This will basically lure out the removal so that your bigger cards are protected as well. But simply the mana cheating that you're doing is fantastic with this card. Flamestrike. Flamestrike is very crucial in a lot of games, as you might have seen against like the Zoo, for instance. As I said, you have to be actually really careful when you use Flamestrike. There's 2 of them in the deck, but there's not a lot of card draw, so the chances of you drawing into your second Flamestrike when you've used the first one are relatively low. So you have to use it at the right time to give you, either heal you up for a lot, or give you board control, essentially. This is necessary to win against Patron Warriors. This is almost always necessary to win against Zoo. It's a really good card, and it looks absolutely fancy. Dr. Boom. Dr. Boom is one of your big threats in this deck. It's a 7/7, spawns 2 Boombots. You see it in pretty much every deck out there because he is just that balanced. He's really good. Use him. Alexstrasza, one of your first big dragons. Alexstrasza is mainly in here for the heal. Set a hero's remaining health to 15 is mostly going to be used on yourself. Sometimes you can use it on an enemy if you have, well, 15 damage on the board, but that's a rare situation. Most of the time you want to use this like right after your ice block gets popped. Really nice, I suppose that's a combo, a really nice combo in your deck. Very important to keep you alive. And it's a big scary dragon, so who doesn't like that? The Nefarian. Nefarian is an incredibly good card for basically the same reason as as Neptulon is a really good shaman card when it was added back in, what was it, GVG? Nefarian adds 2 random spells to your hand from your opponent's class. Most of the time these are going to be useful. The funny thing is, most of the class cards are really good in mirror matches, so if you're against a Warlock and you get Sacrificial Pact, you basically won the game. Most of the time you're going to get very nice stuff out of this, and it's an 8/8. Most importantly, it gives you card advantage. Then Ysera. Ysera is probably your strongest actual dragon in this deck. It's a 4/12, so it doesn't get removed by Big Game Hunter. It has to be removed by a mage, as I said, with Polymorph, by Warrior, with Execute, whatever. It's hard to remove. It gives you a card every turn that it stays alive. Incredibly good, can single-handedly win you a game. And it's, of course, a dragon. So that's the Dragon Mage deck. A lot of very scary, high-cost cards, and a lot of ways to dodge lethal. That's basically the point. Keep on dodging their damage, make sure you don't die, and then absolutely dominate them when you get angry and pull out your big dragons. I hope you like the deck. I think it's a really effective deck and quite unique. I haven't seen a single person run it on ladder as it currently is. I've seen one other Dragon Mage, which had a very different lineup than this deck, and I do secretly think this one is better. So I hope you have fun with this. I think it's really effective, as I said. Thank you for watching. My name has been Haas, and I'll see you in the next video.